Today we are showcasing and honoring one of my favorite exotics in the entire game, Young Ahamkara's Spine. I made a build video about this exotic a very long time ago, and it's probably been my favorite solar build on Hunter ever since, and I know it's been a lot of other people's favorite solar Hunter build ever since, and it's getting some changes. But real quick, let's talk about a setup upgrade that you deserve. When I was a console gamer, I thought PCs were just a fad, but after 10 years of gaming on one, I have never looked back. With a PC, you just get way more storage space, significantly higher frame rates, and much better performance. So why not treat yourself to a Starforged system, the best PCs in the universe, built at premium quality and with a full 2-year warranty. Head to my link in the description to go buy yours now, so you can thank yourself later. First, I want to bask in the glory of the exotic. Because it's honestly too beautiful. 33% ability refund every time that you do ability damage. 33% ability refund to your grenade. That's whether you deal damage with a trip mine grenade, deal damage with blade barrage, deal damage with your throwing knives, deal damage with an ignition even will also proc it for you. And what's really cool about this exotic is that if you hit a very tanky target with your trip mine grenade and your trip mine grenade explodes and the target doesn't die to that trip mine grenade, you'll actually get the ability refund proc twice. So instead of getting 33%, if you look, you get 66%. It's honestly one of my favorite exotics. It feels great in all facets of content. It feels great in GMs, feels great in raids, feels great for boss damage, feels great for champions. It's one of those exotics too that doesn't feel overpowered, because to execute it perfectly, it is a little difficult. You know, it takes a little bit of experience, it takes a little bit of precision. And so it's one of those exotics that always felt really fair to me. That's why I've always loved this exotic. It never felt busted. It always felt like one of those exotics where it's like, yeah, it's really, really strong, but you have to have some decent experience of it. You have to practice with it. You have to be pretty solid with it. But like I said, it's changing soon. Okay, so now I should be able to hop around, grenade, dodge. I mean, and we have another grenade and we have our throwing knives back. So we could have done that whole combo like 2 or 3 more times if that guy had like double his health. There's a Grandmaster Nightfall. We just assassinated him. But anyway, why am I making this video? Why am I talking about this build right now? I already made a build video about it like a year ago. Why is it coming back up right now? For those who don't know, unfortunately, Young Ahamkara's Spine is getting a pretty massive nerf in both the PvP department and the PvE department. And I'm 99% sure the reason it's getting nerfed is specifically because of the PvP department. I believe this is another situation like with what happened to Renewal Grasps. For those who remember, Renewal Grasps were the exotic that allowed your Dusk Field to make the enemy do less damage when they were standing inside it, and it gave you damage resistance when you were inside it. And people really loved it for PvE, but it was absolutely dominating PvP in a rather oppressive way. And since Bungie doesn't balance separate sandboxes, their only choice to make it, tune it down in PvP was to, subsequently nerf it across the board, which, the collateral damage of that was it wasn't good in PvE anymore. Thankfully, that nerf has been reverted, so it's good in PvE again, which is nice. But now we're going through the same rigmarole with Young Ahamkara's Spine. Because Young Ahamkara's Spine is now dominating PvP, I'm hoping that, maybe, it's a long shot, but I'm hoping we can maybe use this video to hopefully change Bungie's mind a little bit. Because in my opinion, like I said in the beginning, it's not so strong in PvE that... I just got cooked. I do think it's strong enough in PvP and in oppressive ways that it warrants a nerf in PvP. But I feel like Bungie's going really overkill with it. What they're doing is they're making it so that the Trip Mine Grenade itself no longer has bonus HP and no longer has damage resistance, which I think are great nerfs that specifically target PvP without harming the performance of the exotic in PvE. But the problem, in my opinion, is that they're going further than that, where they're taking away the 33% grenade ability refund that you get when you deal damage with an ability, and they're making it so that you only get that refund when you kill an enemy with that ability. Meaning that while this exotic is still going to perform really, really well in lower end content where, kind of everything dies in one hit, patrol, public events, playlist strikes, story missions, all that stuff, they're basically nuking it in any activity where enemies don't die in one hit and nuking it for killing tanky targets, which was one of the shining pillars of Young Ahamkara's Spine. So you can't do boss damage with it anymore. You can't really use it in Grandmaster Nightfalls to kill champions, because none of these abilities will one-hit these targets. In fact, the entire point of the exotic is to reward the expertise and the practice that you develop by, you know, using the exotic over an extended period of time, to reward players who kind of have that down. Like I just did right there, I kind of assassinated that unstoppable abomination, not because I one-shot him, but because I know the specific combo with the trip mines and my throwing knives and my dodge to refund the throwing knives and the ignition to proc, you know, another 33% of ability refund. I put the time into this exotic, and it's one of those exotics where you're rewarded for executing combos in a, you know, in the correct order, and you're rewarded for the time and energy and effort that you put into the exotic. And I feel like that portion of the exotic is good in PvP, but I never really found that that was the oppressive part of the exotic. I always found that the oppressive part of the exotic was that someone could throw a trip mine on a wall and you had to shoot it with 3 magazines of primary ammo to actually kill the trip mine. I always thought that was the most annoying part of it in PvP. I'm hoping that, like, maybe, like I said, it's a long shot, maybe in the comment section or on Twitter or on the Bungie forums, we can rally. Let's make a deal, Bungie. You guys are definitely nerfing this specifically for PvP. I get that, and I think it does warrant a nerf in PvP. It's very oppressive. But I feel like PvE is getting caught in the crossfire when it shouldn't in this circumstance. I don't think the exotic is too overpowered in PvE. So let's try this, right? Here's my proposition. We start out, and we do just the bonus health on the grenade nerf and the bonus damage resistance nerf. And then we just, you know, we wait a little bit. You know, we see if people are feeling better about it. We see if its usage rates go down. We see if it's a little less oppressive. And then if it still is, then hey, fine. Fair enough. Nuke it. Whatever. But like, you know, I'd love if we could at least go a little more baby steps instead of just, you know, tearing apart the entire thing in one go. That's my request. If enough of us comment down below in the comments, or mention that to Bungie on Twitter, or mention it on the forums, maybe they'll change their mind. Maybe they'll be like, okay, well, you know, we'll try the baby step nerf, and if it's still too strong, it's getting sauced. And that's like, okay, fine, fair enough. It always sucks, in my opinion, when exotics are kind of useless in PvE, or PvP for that matter. Having a useless exotic armor piece does no one any good. And I worry that this change that Bungie is looking to make is just going to turn Young Ahamkara's Spine into another practically useless PvE exotic armor piece, because it really is losing its identity if Bungie goes through with this nerf, where the identity is that it's like, it's the combo exotic. It's the use your abilities in a specific order. Oh, we just wiped. Isn't Bungie's MO to go overboard first and then roll it back? Yes, their MO typically is to go overboard first and then roll it back, but the problem with that design principle in conjunction with Bungie's turnaround times is, and like, I'm not knocking Bungie or anything like this, like I'm not calling them lazy, or I'm not saying, you know, that this isn't, you know, an attack on them. It's just the reality of the situation is that, you know, if we're being honest with ourselves, Bungie's balancing patches do not come very often. They're very, you know, we get like a couple of seasons. If they do want to go with that philosophy of, hey, let's go overboard, and then later we can maybe roll it back. The problem with that is the time period between when they realize that they went overboard versus when they actually roll it back is like 6 months to a year. You know, I'd really rather not wait 6 months to a year where Young Ahamkara's Spine is useless in higher end content just for Bungie to be like, oh, whoops, turns out that was a little too much. Like, wouldn't it be better instead to, you know, go the baby steps route? Or rather, let's say they do it all at once and then they roll it back, right? The problem with that is if you do it all at once, and then you decide, okay, we're going to try and roll it back a little bit. It takes Bungie time to decide, like, okay, how exactly are we going to roll it back? Which things are we going to undo? What, you know, and that process of deciding what levers you want to turn and which things you want to tweak, that adds time. Whereas if they go the baby step route, well, they already know what they wanted to nerf. So if they just omit 1 or 2 of those planned nerfs, they can release that patch, and then if they're still not happy with the spot it's in, they still feel like it's too much, well, then they can just look at the stuff that they had originally planned to do, that they had the 1 or 2 things that they had taken out, and just say, hey, it is actually still too much. Let's throw those things in now as well. And so that planning process is pretty much already done for them, because they already were going to do it. They just decided to do it in 2 separate steps as opposed to all in one fell swoop. At the end of the day, right, I obviously, you know, I am a software developer, so to some degree, I kind of know how software development cycles go, but I don't work at Bungie. I don't know exactly how the inner workings of, you know, their cycles go. I don't know how long their stuff takes. I'm not going to act like I do, but conceptually, at least, right, in my mind, why adjust 5 different variables at once when you can start with just adjusting like 2? And, like, personally as well, and like I said, I don't know how hard this would be. This might be ridiculously difficult, but I would love if they could figure out a way to make it so that you still get grenade trip mine ability refund anytime you deal ability damage to enemies, except for Guardians. I don't know if Bungie has a way to make it so that young Ahamkara's Spine can differentiate between an ability hit against a Guardian and an ability hit against a PvE enemy. I feel like they should be able to, because I feel like there's plenty of things in the game already that identify a Guardian as something different than like an actual PvE enemy. For example, Vorpal Weapon can identify like a Guardian and a super. It can even get as specific as that. So I feel like there should be a way to make it so young Ahamkara's Spine can tell, like, hey, did our ability just hit a Guardian? Oh, okay. Well, then we're not given refund for that. Maybe that's ridiculously hard. I don't know the inner workings of Bungie's code bases. I don't know. But I'm like, this exotic is not overpowered by any means in PvE. So I really hope that they can find a way to, you know, bring it in line in PvP so it doesn't feel oppressive, because I want the PvP players to have a good time too. But I feel like there's a way we can make everyone happy here.